Okay, so come. Okay. So good evening, guys. How's everything? So welcome once again to one of our editions where we talk about Hacktober first and contributing to open source. For those of you that have been with us all the way from when we first started out with hacking, then we went on to Tobiloba that showed us a live on workshop with contributing to Git. And now today we have the one and only himself, Olanet Soft. I'm pretty sure all of you that on Twitter, you know him now, a big guy. Olanet Soft Idris. Come on, don't let me go deep into it. But anyhow, Sha, but yeah, so Idris, how are you today? Idris, can you hear me? All right, so I'm thinking that Idris has a couple of network issues. Um, Idris, can you hear me? Okay. Idris, can you hear me? Okay, so sorry about that. So Idris is frozen, so he's going to have to rejoin with us. But anyway, while still waiting for him, so I can legit see that we have some bosses in the house. We have to blow by DDG. We have Marion Braid, which is peace. Okay, so Idris is back.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you very much. I
Idris, you
can
are
hear
frozen
you.
for
Can
a
you hear
bit.
me now?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. No, yeah, no problem. So as I was saying, guys, we have the one and only Olanet Soft in the house. So hey, Olanet, what's up? How are you? How's your day?
Yeah, I'm doing great and I'm really, really excited to be here today. Of course, it's work hour, but then I'm really excited to be here and also to share a couple of things about initiating your open source Web3 journey as a developer, front end, back end, anywhere you find yourself, cloud, and all of those fields in tech generally. Yeah, so I think today is going to be an interesting day for us.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So, because I'm not even going to cap myself. I myself have had a bit of interest in the Web3 space in itself. Yeah, I've been like, okay, what is Web3? And I'm pretty sure we have a lot of people in like, and among the viewers that have always wondered, okay, what is Web3? How can they get into Web3? Like, they don't even know what is the difference between Web3, Web2, the rest, to get that kind of thing. So we're hoping that today you'll be able to, at least in a way, clarify those concepts for us and also explain to us how we can now then go about contributing to Web3 repos. How can we find the repository and know that, okay, this is Web3 and this is what we want to contribute to? Those kinds of things. So we are hoping that you'll be able to clarify that for us today.
Yeah, sure, I'll try my best.
All right. So probably over to you now. So I think you can share your screen now, like just show us like what you have to show. Over to you, Idris.
All right. Thank you very much, Dress. I think I got that correctly. Driz or Dress? Anyone? Yeah. So thank you very much. Thank
Idris,
you
yeah.
guys for also joining. Yeah. Thank you guys for also joining. So today I would try as much as possible not to move too fast and not too slow. And also, but considering time, of course, so that we would be having everything that I prepared for you all throughout this presentation. And then let me just share my screen real quick. All right. 1 second. Okay. All right. So I want to believe you all can see my screen. Can you hear me confirm that, Trace? Idris, so can you confirm that for
Yes,
me?
yeah, we can see a screen. We can see a screen.
All right,
It's yeah,
perfect.
clear and steady, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, but we can see a screen.
All right. So thank you all once again for joining this session. Today, I'm really excited to be here to make you an expert in initiating or contributing to open source projects, and not just contributing to open source projects, but how you can also start your career in the Web3 space, some of the things you should know, and how you can contribute. But another thing I want to you guys to know is you need to take note of a couple of things as I mention, as I share story behind them. Try to note them because some of them might not be written, but I can assure you that everything you need, even if you want to check out the slide, which I'll be sharing after the presentation, you find all the details that is required for you, including links, relevant links that will help you succeed in initiating your open source Web3 journey. All right. So, little bit about me. My name is Idris Olubisi. I am a developer advocate at Axela and the founder of Web3 Africa, a community focused on connecting the dots within the space by onboarding, educating, and supporting Web3 builders. So, what are we going to learn, or what are you all going to learn? Of course, including myself, in this talk. We'll talk about introduction to open source to set the right expectation and the right stage for those of us that are hearing open source for the first time. And also, we're going to talk about how to get started in contributing to open source, not just get started, but also get started and contributing to open source. And we also talk about benefit of contributing to open source. Of course, you don't want to do all of this contribution without getting any benefit or trying to see what you can achieve in contributing to open source. Then we'll briefly talk about introduction to Web3, set the right expectation about everyone that is curious on what Web3 is, and also how what's different between Web3 and Web2, what are some of the similarities, what are the differences, and all of those things. We'll be taking a look at them. And then we're going to move on to intersection of open source and Web3, how both of them evolves, and what are the things they have in common that you can take a look at. And we won't stop there. We'll also talk about how to find Web3 open source projects to contribute to. Then we'll also quickly go through some repository. Of course, this is a session where it's going to be practical, and you see things, and you see, apart from the talk, you see all of these things in action on how you can contribute, how you can create an issue, how you can find Web3 open source project, and some of the things you should know during this process. All right, so for those of us that are joining, I would like to ask this question. Does any one of you have idea of what an open source means? Please just drop it in the chat. I will take a look at it and then proceed. I'll give 30 seconds for that, and I'll be expecting your feedback. All right, so let's proceed. Thank you guys for your contribution, and let me just go back to the screen share. All right, so that was pretty fast, but then because we do not have time and we have a lot to cover during this session. So in case you don't
Yeah,
know,
sorry, Idris. So we go to like the comment beside the private chat.
sorry, I didn't get that. Can you hear me?
Oh no, I was saying like for people that like were commenting. I said that if you go to the stream yard, if you go to the comments tab beside the
Oh,
private chat, you
good.
should
Thank
see
you.
the comments. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, free and available software. I'm seeing a lot of amazing answers. Software that is available for general public. Correct, correct. You guys are correct. Thank you very much for that response. I really appreciate it. And then let's go back to the presentation. So just to all of your responses are correct, and then I just want to add to that: open source is just like a public park where the software and code is openly available for anyone to freely use and enjoy. You can see the joy the last word there, which is enjoy, which means that you can leverage any existing software that is free and open source, and use it to build incredible and amazing software products. But then it doesn't stop there. Let's take a deep dive on how what exactly open source is and how you can benefit from it. Yeah, of course, open source. So the definition here, which I kind of resonates with a lot, is this particular one I'm currently sharing, which is open source refers to a software or other content that is made freely available for anyone to use, modify, and share. So the in this case, it means that the source code is openly available for everyone or anyone that wants to contribute, or anyone that wants to collaborate. So in this case, we have a lot of products or a lot of softwares in production where we have people contribute to them. We'll also be seeing a lot of examples during this session where we get to the resources, and also seeing how you can contribute. So another thing, which is part of the definition of open source, it also includes free redistribution. So anyone can freely use, modify, and share the software, like we mentioned earlier. And also, it also entails, like, these are like the key um, things that powers open source. You say, well, when they say key aspect of open source, these are things that you should put at the back of your mind. So open source code, the code is made available so people can study, people can change, people can improve the software. So think of it like, what's that favorite over the years that is open source? I think we have used a lot, including myself, and I'm very sure that you've also used one today. If you're a developer, you actively code, you actively contribute, or you build software products, or you're a freelancer, you have been using, I'm very, very sure you have been using free and open source software for a very long time. So moving on, we have collaboration. Is also a key aspect of open source. Open source open source projects often have like communities of developers working together to maintain and also improve existing software. So the first version of the software is definitely different from version 2. Version 2 is different from version 3, and these are like rounds of versioning that have gone through improvement, enhancement, and also maintain some sort of maintenance from communities of developers to improve that particular software. So last but not the least here is licensing, which is also a very important part of open source software. So I mentioned that it is free to use, reusable, and you can share. But then there are also some open source software license that is attached to every open source project that you create. So this is usually distributed under different licenses that allow freedom, that allow you to use and modify them. So some of the common open source licenses you might have come across or hearing for the first time is GPL. You might have also seen MIT or also BSD. So these are like licenses that are guiding different open source projects depending on how you want to commercialize it or how you want people to utilize this particular software. And I think the one, including myself, the ones I've used personally for my open source project is MIT, because this allow anyone to freely use that particular content within maybe to commercialize it to an extent, and also have a lot of other cool things to do with it by cloning, updating, and contributing and all of that. So there are different licenses for different use cases. So how do you get started in open source, and not just getting started but also contributing to open source? So there are a lot of ways, and you might have seen them online, or maybe hear from a speaker talking about open source and trying to tell you how to get started and also contribute. But I'll be mentioning, I have like a couple of them that I'll be listing out for you, that I believe would help you and guide you to understand how you can effectively get started in open source and also contribute to open source projects. So number one on the list here is finding the project that interests you and then start using that particular project. So it's one thing to contribute to open source. It's another thing to find an interesting project that you love and then contribute to. So I've seen a lot of maintenance, and then I think before you get to like that stage of maintenance, it means that you personally have interest in that project, and you have been using that project, and you have been contributing to those projects. So apart from like projects within my umbrella, for example, um, there was a time I contributed to Gatsby JS, if you know Gatsby JS. And then this is because I was building my portfolio at the time, and I love what Gatsby is doing, how they, make life easy for developers to quickly spin up application, and then having all of these SEO embedded, like all of these things out of the box. Just spinning up a Gatsby project could set all of those things up for you. So during that time, I was trying to, you know, create my own portfolio that also have not just my information but a blog within that portfolio. Then I figured a lot of things. I saw a couple of things that was not, probably because of versioning or something like that. I was able to spot a couple of fixes on the documentation, and then I sent in a fix. After sending a couple, I think I sent in like 2 3 fix to the documentation, and then I was added to the organization to contribute even more. So this is because I love the project, and then when I saw those fixes or lapses in the documentation, I did not look at it and be like, oh, I'm not really. I just want to build and then move on. But because the project interests me, and also the community that is behind that project, and also the fact that I am using that project to build. So that's one thing for you to figure out which particular project. I know you want to find projects to contribute to, but it's also important to know that the particular project you want to contribute to, do you actually have interest in that project? Is it something that interests you in any way? Is it something that when somebody wakes you up right now and say, hey, tell me about this project, you can quickly tell them and get them excited about the project, and even encourage them to contribute to the project? Another one here on the list is start small by fixing bugs and improving documentation, adding comments, etc. So these don't require like major code changes. So you might have gone through like the maintenance profile on one particular project that you find interesting, and you see a lot of people contributing, like having, hundreds of comments, sending a lot of PRs, and be like, oh, how can I also send this same PR? You need to start small. To be honest, when I send the contribution to Gatsby, I start with like a couple of grammatical errors and something that I think wasn't communicated right. And then I tried to modify it. I was not even expecting that would get reviewed like so fast and then merged. But then I got that feedback, which gives me like a welcoming ground for me to even contribute more. So I started from documentation, even though because of a lot of other activities I was doing, I did not really, actively contribute at the time when I was um after creating my portfolio, right? So, but then more contribution could lead to you figuring out a lot of things to contribute in the code, especially when you keep using the software to build amazing stuff. So when you start small, and start small from documentation, gradually you get there where you have to now fix maybe code changes or propose new changes, or some of the things that you like the code to be able to do, but the code is not currently doing that. Then you can, create an issue for it and get other people to fix. You can also send a PR for people to fix that particular issue that you created. Another one is introduce yourself on forum. When you want to get started, you don't just get started in a project blindly. Try to join their Discord community, try to join their mailing list, chat channel, get to know the community. Those are ways that you get to know what is happening, and also who to reach out to when you send a PR. Because of course, some projects have hundreds of issues, some have hundreds of PRs, depending on how big and robust that particular project is. So you need to include yourself with the community, try to understand the process of review, what they go through, or the kind of things that you need to do before you even create an issue or send in a PR. Another one is looking at project contribution guideline. I think a lot of people just want to contribute and they just rush in and then send in a PR. Or maybe the project contribution guideline says even if it's a typo, you need to create an issue for it. Then it means that if you don't go through that particular contribution guideline and you go ahead and submit a PR, you have high chances of people not attending to that PR because it's not linked to any issue. So that's one thing you need to understand, that every contribution guideline might look the same, but there are specific projects that they crafted the guideline in such a way that it's fitting into what they want and then how they want it. So of course, when you look at the project contribution guideline, you can fork the project and then set up the local environment to run this project and see how it works, how you can contribute. So not just wanting to contribute, but also running it locally gives you the opportunity to understand how the project works and how you can get started. Um, Another one here, the list is really long, but I tried to pick a couple of different points where I know it's very, very useful for anyone that is willing to get started or contribute to open source. So another one here is picking an open issue that you find issue. We'll go through all of those in the demo session where we see all of this, where we check out project on GitHub and see how you can pick issues to work on, how you can get them assigned to you. So another way, like one way of doing this is when you pick an issue to work on, discuss the approach with the maintainers, because some issues are like they are not documentation, they are major fix on the project. And now you think you understand the project and you want to send a PR, and this PR would regard maybe deleting a file, regards like having like 4 to 5, 6, 7 file changes. Then you might need to discuss the approach of you solving that particular issue with the maintainer. Of course, every project you find on GitHub or project that you want to contribute, it will have like a maintenance. You can go to like log to see who are the ones attending to PR, merging the PR, and because you're part of the community, you have a sense of who is in charge. I know it's not one. Of course, maintainers are always like, depending on how big the project is, there are a lot of maintainers and also contributors that will quickly help you with pull request review. So when after doing all of these things, then you can now submit your pull request review. You can now submit your pull request for review. So the most important one here is also be patient and be patient with feedback, because I noticed that some people they will tell you they are open to feedback, but when you give them feedback, they are not so happy about feedback. Maybe I don't know, maybe it has to do with ego or something. I don't understand. But a lot of people, when they get feedback, they feel attacked. They feel, why would you say this? Or why are you telling me to go back to start all of these things? Or maybe this is too stressful. But for you to get started in open source or contribute to any open source project, you need to be patient with feedback. Take all those feedback, even if you think the feedback is not right, or maybe what you did was different, the best is just for you to take that feedback, understand what the feedback is, and then if that is not what you implemented or what you're thinking, you can now explain your thought process and also how you think you want to solve that problem, which is different from the kind of feedback you got, and that will help you work collaboratively with the maintainer to improve the quality of any code or software you are contributing to. So more and more help with users' question. This would help you build your knowledge and reputation. So if they have a community on Stack Overflow where you will have reputation, you can, contribute to existing projects. You don't have to join GitHub or be on GitHub to contribute to open source. Being Stack Overflow contribution is also open source. Seeing fixes or bug or like error, people post error on a tool that you love using or you have been using a lot and you know how to solve it, responding, like answering that particular question is a way for you to also contribute to the knowledge base of that particular product. Last but not the least here is providing feedback, user feedback, feature requests or writing tutorials. I've seen like a lot of people, maybe for example, when Bonds came out and everyone was really excited about it, I've seen tons of tutorial online where people would say, hey, this is how to do things with Bonds. If you want to convert a project with Bonds, how to get started with Bonds. So Bonds is just an example that I gave. Like this could be literally any project. So these are also ways for you to write, and also contribute to open source. And it doesn't even need to do with code. There are also contributions that are no code, that all you just need to do is to support that growing community and see how people, or try to help people succeed when they build with that particular product. Yeah, and then keep contributing, gain experience and get familiarized with best practices, and that would really help you grow. Be humble. This is part of being patient. When you're humble and you're eager to learn, you'll be able to move fast, and also not just moving fast, but also helping the community, making a very important like impact within that particular community, and letting your contribution be clear to the entire community on what you are doing and how you are helping the community grow for that. I mean, community here, I mean, I'm talking about the community around a particular project, how you are helping them solve issues. All of those things will help you also develop your own communication skills, and also not just communication skills, but also collaboration skills, because it will be useful for you at your own workplace. To communicate effectively is one of the most important tools for you as a developer. So all of these things would really help you, and these are like processes that can help you get started in contributing to open source. So I've said quite a lot of things, but then do you now understand what open source is? Can I get some responses? Yes, that's just 30 seconds, and then we can move on. Let me know if you understand what open source is, and then great. All right, so thank you all. Let's get back to the slide. All right, so now that you understand what open source is, let's talk about the benefits of contributing to open source, because it's not about open source alone, but also about what you are going to achieve when you contribute to open source. What are some of the benefits you get out of the box, for contributing to open source? So those are like things that are also very important aside you just contributing. So there are a lot, but then I'll just pick a few and then talk about it, then share my experience. So one of them is contributing to open source allow you to improve the software you use on the daily, and also help you to gain deeper knowledge about that particular software and build a career boosting skills and reputation. So gaining insights, contributing to open source allow your software to grow, but not just your software growing, but also you building a deeper knowledge. For example, imagine you contribute to, let me see any of the framework. Okay, yeah, Million JS, for example. You started contributing from documentation. Gradually, you understand the code base and you started using it a lot. And then you have like deeper understanding of how the project works. It means that you can introduce new features to that particular project because now you've gained deeper understanding. And also, probably if it's written in TypeScript, and then probably you just want to start learning TypeScript, or you just started learning TypeScript, all of these processes will help you gain deeper understanding on how TypeScript works, and not just you going through a tutorial to learn, but how to practicalize, how to actually use it in a project that a lot of people are using or a lot of people are contributing to. So it helps you boost your skills, give you like deeper understanding and insight about that particular project, and at the same time build your reputation. So your reputation here could be having like Git comments, if there are a particular reward system that is being put in place for those that are contributing to that particular project. Of course, you'll be like top on the list of first to 10, 1 to 10, and all of that. So another one is open source community provide mentors, right? Skills development and networking opportunity that can help you grow your career. So when I mean provide mentors here, I'm not talking about like you get like one-on-one mentors here, but your maintainers could serve as mentors, right? When they give you feedback, especially when you are making like a very big change to the project repository, they can, those feedback they are giving you probably based on the code ethics or best practices. All of those things are things that like you could get from your mentors, and they could literally serve as your mentors, right? During that process, they help you shape your skill, they help you give deeper understanding on how to build production level application and some of the things you should consider for industry standards and all of that. So which in turns gives you a very good skills development and networking opportunities that can help you grow your career. It doesn't stop there, and also participating in open source is rewarding in terms of fun, satisfaction, and relationship, and it also helps you demonstrate like a particular skills or expertise to employers or partners. So there was, I think last 2 weeks, a friend of mine got an opportunity, and this was because of his contribution to open source project. And like you can see how interesting that is, right? He has been contributing to that project for a very long time, but then he's either contributing to documentation, contributing to releases, and trying to make sure everything is documented properly before it goes out there. And then he was hired as a technical writer, and his main focus, like his primary project, is to work on that project full time. So anything that has to do with documentation, releases, and all of these things that needs like um proper and detailed explanation about any particular feature on that project, he handles it. And the interesting part is that it's not the project is open source project, so it means that he is also going to get like a lot of support from other people, like insights, opinions, for them to even make a better documentation for that particular project. So that's one thing you should think of, right? You might not see it right now when you start contributing, but it's something that it will either come from that particular project, maybe the owner of the project or the co-contributors of the project or the maintainers, or it's going to come from another place that you don't expect. But during the interview, they take a look at your CV, or they tell you to talk about some of the things you've worked on in the past or most recently. And then you talk about this interesting open source project. You might be shocked, right? They might even be using that particular project. So that's one thing I've also seen on Twitter, I think last year or so, where they were interviewing somebody, and then he mentioned the project he created and he actively contributed to. And the company was like, oh, we use your package. And that's how he got hired. Like they just stopped the interview process and then he got hired immediately. The funny thing is that they were not aware that he was the one that built that package. I think he didn't include it in his CV. And then, but after talking about it, that these are some of the things he built in the past and is currently or actively contributing to. And then he found out that the company uses it, and they were like, "Oh, we are really excited to have you on board." And then that helps him skip like a lot of processes, and which also shows that um he has the skills, right? This is not about hiring for hiring sake, but then they know the person that built this kind of thing would be able to do what we want him or her to do. But in this case, he is the one in charge. So yeah, so that's one opportunity that you could also get. And also there are a lot, right, behind contributing to open source, but gradually you start to see them when the more you contribute, the more you see them, the more you try to help the community, the more you get all of these benefits directly from your contribution to open source, any open source project, basically. So now I think that's it about open source. So let's quickly talk about Web3 and also what exactly Web3 is. So remember that now we are switching to the other part of the presentation, which is Web3, right? And this is going back to our topic that says initiating your open source journey, your open source Web3 journey. So this is the reason why we want to talk about Web3 before we start to, go into detail on how to contribute or to find Web3 project and all of that. So to keep things simple, Web3 is the third iteration of internet powered by blockchain. So let me explain. In the era of between 1999, I think, to 2004, we had Web 1. And then this is the era where people, as a then, they got introduced to the internet. And then all they do is to read content from the internet. Like there was no way to interact. Somebody just upload content from the admin, and everybody in the world goes through this content and then read and then consume this content and then move on, right? And things start to change when we start to see things evolve, right? People want to interact. We start to see innovative idea comes of like, how do we interact, how do we send messages from one place to another? Then we start to see the like of Gmail, mailing system that allow you to send um um, messages across. So I'm not like Gmail, right? But then like mail provider that could help you send emails from one protocol, from one location to the other, or like from one end to the other. So we start to also see requests for things around interaction, where you like to interact with the web, all of these things that we can do now with social media app, where you can send messages, click, get feedback, people get to respond to your tweet or respond to your post. All of these things is the era of Web 2, right, which build upon what is currently existing in Web 1. But the idea here is that Web 2, if you check, like Web 2 are basically centralized, they're owned by a company where they have all your data. If you want to use any of this app, you get to sign up, they get your data, you sign up, you make use, maybe you are using any social media app or a trading app or an e-commerce app. All of these things require like sign-ups and all of that. So, but then this means that this data is being controlled by a central authority, and what Web3 builds upon is decentralization and ownership, transparency, trustlessness, and also openness. So the Web3, which is the third iteration of internet, came to play when people understand that, okay, how can we do things without having like middlemen, without having like a center and centralized location where all you need to, get access to everything. You can decide to, you want to log into your account today and they'll tell you, hey, because of one violation, you violated our rule and now you're getting kicked out. All of these things is something that beyond your control as a user. But then this is what Web3 is all about. So you might be wondering, that does that mean we don't have front end in Web3? Do we have back end in Web3? All of these things that currently exist in Web2. Of course, we do have front end in Web3, right? The only thing that is changing here is the back end. Here we're talking about if you want to build a full decentralized application. So you might be thinking of connecting your front end. Maybe you have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React, and then your back end in this case could be for a full-fledged decentralized application. Your back end in this case would be smart contract. So building a smart contract allow you to write your code and then deploy on the blockchain. Then you can use your front end to connect with that smart contract, to interact with the smart contract. Maybe you want to send funds, you want to do anything on chain, you'll be able to interact with it from your front end. But then we have also seen like a lot of application that are hybrid application, where they also have some sort of backend somewhere, and they try to also communicate with the blockchain technology. Those are applications that are referred to as hybrid. They are not fully decentralized application, but you have like storage somewhere. But the ideal thing here that the blockchain is replacing is the centralized servers that we have currently in Web 2, where it's being controlled by a centralized authority, and they own your data. They can sell your data, they can use anything on your data, they can even kick you out at some point for any reason. In fact, I've seen a lot of people that have never ever break any violation rule, but then they got kicked out for one weird reason. So those are like things that can never happen in the Web3 space, because leveraging the blockchain technology gives you access. These are like decentralized hosted server everywhere, and it's not controlled by one person. You have it across and tens of thousands across the world, right? Tens of thousands of servers interconnected across the world. So the key aspect of the Web3 here is decentralization that I just mentioned, having different servers worldwide. So it means that no one can censor your data, no one can take ownership of your data or try to have your data in a centralized space where they have more control over it than you do. Another one here is ownership. You own your data, you own your interaction on the web. A very good example here is what we have currently with Medium, where you can write blog and then post blog. And then when you want to make your blog a paid blog, right, they create some sort of payment for you. And then you have like they take a particular charge on that, for providing that particular service for you. So as a writer, if you're writing and you want to enable payment, it means that they will be taking a certain percentage, and you don't have control on this percentage. You can't negotiate because it's a fixed price, right? But then if you see the a very good example of Medium on chain, which is mirror.xyz. I don't know if anyone has heard about mirror.xyz. It's something similar for you to write a blog, but then you just need to connect your wallet and then write a blog, and then it gets stored on the blockchain. So if anyone wants to withdraw, if anyone wants to like reward you for that particular content. Maybe they find that content useful. They don't need to pay to any centralized authority. No one is taking a charge. They can just send funds directly to your wallet from that particular blog because it contains your wallet address and it's unchanged. So this is one typical example of ownership, like taking ownership of your everything you have online and taking control of whatever you put online as an individual. So it's also transparent. Every blockchain transactions and all of those things. You can see it on the Explorer. It's trackable. You can see what is being sent and all of these things. And also trustlessness, right? You don't need to trust anybody to do things right before you can, leverage solution built in the third iteration of internet, right? You don't need to understand or you don't need to trust somebody for doing things right. Just leveraging the blockchain, make sure that everything is transparent and then it's trustlessness, right? So the last but not the least is openness, right? It's also open, it's verifiable. You can check all of this, the source code and everything online. You can see what is happening under the hood. You can see all of this in which normally you won't see in the existing infrastructure like the centralized authority. Their codes are not open, but there are different cases like they have like typical business model that is hidden from the world and they are the only one that can have access to it. But with the blockchain technology, building and verifying your contract and all of those things are make your application, open. Anyone could go through your code base, see what is happening, and then make the whole process seamless and then free. So this is like a very basic introduction, but it pretty much covers everything you need to know about Web3. If you have additional questions, I'll be happy to help. So now let's move on quickly. Let's talk about intersection of open source and Web3. We've learned about open source. We've learned how to get started in open source. And also we've talked about how to benefit from open source, right? What are some of the benefits that comes by contributing to open source projects or becoming an open source maintainer and all of that, right? Okay, but now let's talk about the intersection of open source and Web3. Yes, let's not forget, we also talk about introduction to, Web3. What exactly is Web3 and how does it different from Web1? How is it different from Web1 and Web2? So now let's talk about the intersection of open source and Web3. Like, what do they have in common? How does this intersect? And all of these things is what we'll be talking about in this particular session. So it's simple to keep the whole thing simple, right? Intersection of open source and Web3 is basically open source and decentralized collaboration are integral to Web3. You need to get that clear. And also providing a technical and philosophical building blocks. So all of these things help because it's a decentralized system and it's also open. It helps you to build the technical building blocks and make everything open. So most Web3 projects are open source. I mentioned that earlier that when you write a smart contract, you can verify the smart contract. And the verification just means that you are approving and then publishing that particular smart contract online where literally everyone can see it. And that is open source. Like, in fact, a lot of people can see the way you solve a particular problem in that particular code base and then utilize it. If you have packages, you can make your package available for people to use, or library, or all of this. And just like we have if you're familiar with the workplace where we have Open Zeppelin, they have a tons of library that is available that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just import this library and you are good to go. So because most Web3 projects are open source, they also enable transparency and also collective innovation where people could collaborate, people can contribute, people can do a lot of interesting things to make that particular open source project better. And now we're talking about open source project in Web3, like Web3 open source project, because they are kind of interwoven, like they are built together, they're integral. So it means that you can't even separate Web3 from open source because all of these things Web3 preaches, like decentralization, trustlessness, transparency, are kind of things that you can relate with an open source project because all of these things happen openly and then publicly online for anyone to, contribute to or like introduce new features, bring out some innovative idea to make that particular project even better. So how to find open source project to contribute to. So I have a resource, but before I check like these resources, which I'll also be sharing the slide with you all to go through, but let me just quickly show you a couple of things directly from GitHub. So please, can you confirm you can see my screen? Can anyone confirm you can see my screen? Or maybe just
Yeah, we
respond.
can.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Thank you very much. So, this is GitHub. I don't know. Have anyone seen this page before? Because I know a lot of people just go to GitHub slash their profile name and that's it. But this is a particular tab dedicated for people that want to explore different projects based on their interest. So this interest could range from maybe things you like, projects you like, or you've started and all of that. So there's a tab called Explore where you can explore a tons of projects. These are not Web3 related projects. This is basically any project updates. You can see updates from GitHub Universe that is happening in 2020, in November 8, 2023 in San Francisco. And then you can see a lot of projects. When you keep scrolling, okay, this is like the end of the update on Explore. You can see projects, and then you can also move to the topics tab. If you go to the topics tab, yeah, it's currently loading. So you can see topics that you can search for. You can click on any of these topics. For example, this electron. I think it's loading. So under electron topic, you can see a lot of projects under electron. Like these are, if you remember during the presentation, I mentioned that one of the first thing you need to think of is project that really interests you, or project that matters to you, or project that you like. You can see under these topics, we have like all featured topics like, Android, Angular, Ansible. These are like projects that you can check. And you can also see trending. Maybe you don't just want to contribute to a dead project. You want to see project people are actually contributing to. So you can check trending to see project and see projects that you think you like and then you want to contribute to, and you can documentation. Don't forget, you don't need to start fixing big bugs and all of that. You can literally start from documentation and then gradually proceed. So you can see Superbase, you can see all of these interesting projects. And if you want to check out developers, also you can check people trending based on contribution. And you can see here we have the popular repo. So if this is the popular repo, you can check if any of this repository, matters to you, right? Or like you find it interesting, then you can contribute to any of this repository, right? You don't literally need to always come and check maybe trending or developers or who is trending or all of that, but then it also helps you to know some of these active projects that you can contribute to, right? So yeah, so that's it. We have like a lot of tabs here that you can go through, collection, event, and all of that. But then let's go straight to finding Web3 projects. So there's this thing called tag on GitHub that you can find interesting projects, or there's also a global search that you can check out. So here we have, I can search for the keyword Web3. So this is just me randomly searching, right? So I have no idea of which project to contribute to. I'm new to Web3. I don't understand. Like I'm just learning about Web3 and I want to contribute, or I want to see project to contribute to. So now you can see this result shows what? 53,000.6K, which means that there are 53,000 results under this Web3, which means there are 53,000 projects that you can contribute to if you are in the Web3 space, or you know how to do things in the Web3 space. So this is a very good example here, like just first on the search, the Ethereum JavaScript API. This is this is a package that you can install, and then you'll be able to interact with smart contract directly from your front-end application. But then this is the project, right? As a beginner or as a first timer, in fact, you might not even be first timer contributing to open source and you want to contribute to a Web3 based open source project, right? But this is the first time that you want to contribute to a Web3 based project, then it is here and you can see everything that is required, right, from the documentation. I think number one thing you need to know about open source projects, like you need to go through, is the README. The README literally explains how the project works, how to run the project locally, and also some contribution guidelines that can help you to contribute to that particular project. So you can see using npm, using yarn, just for you to quickly get started and also clone this project locally. So, but there's one thing before I move on that I usually encourage people to check. So when you want to contribute to a project, try to see when the last merge on that particular project. You can see this is 6 hours ago, which means that this project is still actively, receiving contribution, and people are getting, people are pushing in PRs, and PRs are getting reviewed, issues are getting created. You can see we have 166 issues here, and then we have 10 PRs, which means that this project is really active and people are contributing to it. So now, moving on to the issue part, right? There are different rules for different projects. Please, you need to understand that there are different rules for different projects. If you want to create new issues here, maybe you find an error and you want to create a new issue, you can see there's something called templates, issue templates. So this is basically just to guide any particular issue that you are reporting. So, and also to be sure that you understand what you are, at least know how to report what you encounter. Because sometimes it's not even an error, sometimes it's just like an improvement. So you need to be able to express yourself and talk about that particular thing, how you want it to behave. If it's an error, you tell them the expected behavior and then the actual behavior that you're expecting, right? Sorry, the expected behavior, what you're expecting, and then what is currently what the current behavior looks like, right? So you can see this template. It shows that step before creating an issue, I have read the documentation, I have Google or ask question on Stack Overflow, and I have search. This is just to ensure that we don't have like similar issue, and also if this issue that you want to create has already been fixed or just there, maybe you can't just find it properly. So that's why they encourage you to check online and Google things around before you create an issue. So here, for example, if there's an issue relating to bug and then creating that issue, you just need to, talk about steps that people can reproduce. So because you say you install web3.js now, and then you try to interact with a smart contract on Polygon or Ethereum, and then for some reason, it's returning a particular data on Polygon, but it's not returning a particular data on Ethereum. So all of those steps, you need to like walk anybody that wants to review this issue. You need to walk them through on how to reproduce it, and then so probably they will encounter the same error, and then they can tell how to fix it. Because sometimes you just need to understand an error, just need to understand errors generally before you can even start thinking of how to fix them, right? So this is template for Web3.js, right? It differs and like it varies for different projects. Templating varies, so you need to don't expect like this same template for every project that you encounter, right? Then when you create an issue, you can submit that issue, and when wait, you can get, sometimes you need to wait for somebody to comment or to give go ahead before you send the fix. But if you have the fix already, you can create the issue and then create a PR. So when you are creating a PR, there's a way you can link issues with the PR. So when the issue gets merged, when the PR gets merged, the issue automatically gets closed. So this is a typical example. So this is the error this person is getting. This person is getting through an insecure context error if window.crypto the software is undefined, right? It says fixes six. You can see like this is 6,485 issue that has been created on this project for you to see how active this project is, right? So now, but there's something you should also note. So this PR is currently draft, which means that it's not ready for review. Most of these organizations allow you to send a PR. Maybe you're still working on it and then you want to push that PR there just to keep it there, and then you'll be updating it. Then you can leave it as draft PR. And when it is ready, you see the option for you to change the draft status to like ready for review. Because I'm not the creator of this PR, so I won't see that option. For the creator that created this draft PR, will be able to change it when it's time. So it says fixes this type error, right? And it links it. So it means that whenever this PR is reviewed and made, it automatically closes this issue. And for more people and for you to understand that things are happening on this project, and then issue doesn't stay redundant there without anybody attending to it, or maybe the PR has been merged and then the issue is just there. Meanwhile, the error does not exist again. So this is typically how to search for project that is a Web3 based project. Like, this is the fastest way for you to search for any project on GitHub. Because most of these projects, either they have Web3 in their name or they have it in their tag. But it doesn't stop here. Let me just go back to the home page where we have Explore tab the other time. Okay, yeah, so you can see a lot of them. It's either they have Web3 in their name or in the description, or they have a Web3 tag. In fact, you can contribute to Ethereum and all of that. So I have a couple of other projects that I also want to quickly show you, in case some of these projects require you to like clone and understand them, right? But then you can also contribute to some other projects that are not so robust, and then they welcome more contributions from first timers or people that just want to contribute easily. So this is another example, which is Web3 term, a project that is a Twitter bot that you can call on Twitter to simplify a particular terms for you. So you can go to the GitHub repository, and then you can see it has received like tons of contribution from various people from around the world, like people that I don't even know, some of them. And then they've sent in contribution. I think the contributors we have here is about 30 contributors on this project. And then you can also contribute. You can try to fix issue here. I think this particular issue was created bad streaming. And then I believe this person has sent a fix, which is this one here, developed 2.0. I'm aware of this issue, but I haven't got time to review it. So this is an example. This is another example here, which is called the free Web3 resources, where you can literally find all Web3 resources. If you are learning Web3 or all of that, you can see a lot of resources here. Let me just show you what it looks like on the front end, because that's a project. So this is how it looks like. So if you are a beginner and you're looking for a roadmap, you can just click here. It takes you to the roadmap, gives you the introduction on how to learn Web3. And then if you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, and also if it's like you're looking for more advanced stuff, like SDKs, like notification and all of that, you can find all of these things in this repository. So these are like repositories like people create an open source project that people create to help people to learn, in this case, to learn Web3 better. So another one, okay, yeah, I wanted to make reference to, I was talking about having patience, right? When you make contribution and then trying to reach out to see. So there's a particular contribution I made to Ethereum org website. I think it's been 2 weeks now. Let me see if I can remember bridges. Okay. So this contribution, okay, yeah, this is my contribution. You can see opened 3 weeks ago, and then immediately I sent in this PR. Everything is passing, and then but I'm still waiting for review. This is for you to understand how patient you need to be during when you send a PR, especially when you send a PR to a project that has a lot of issues, a lot of pull requests. It takes time for you to get feedback, and if you're lucky, you get feedback faster, and then you get your PR merged into the project, right? So let's take a look at how creating an issue here looks like, for you to know like different ways. You can see here they've already categorized it, right? It's different from the first one that we checked. So if you want a bug report, if you want to report a bug, you can do this. If you want to like submit a feature request, you can do so. This will give you like different templates for you to submit that particular report. They don't want to assume it's a like bug or it's a feature request. You can see they give you like a lot of options. If you want to suggest a wallet, if you want to suggest a tutorial, you want to suggest a quiz, layer 2 solutions, all of these things. If I click, for example, let me click bug report. It shows bug report templates where you can describe the type of bug. You can also tell them like a step to reproduce that particular bug, the expected behavior that you expect to happen, like short and concise. In fact, you can add screenshots if you have them, and also you can also tell them more information. They just want to understand, like give them everything they need to know about this issue. So even though you are not the one sending a fix, because not everyone that creates issues sends the fix for that issue. So even if you are not the one sending a fix, it will be easier for anyone to quickly go through and then try to fix that particular issue. So I think I'm above time. Let me just time it's on dots. So let me just go back to the presentation and then round up real quick. So I hope you've learned like how you can easily find Web3 projects and also how you can contribute to it, and also some of the important things you need to note about contributing to open source project. So I've created like a list of resources that you can check out, both Web2 and Web3 open source resources that could help you learn how to contribute to open source project faster. So there are a lot of them here. These are hyperlinks that you can click and take you to that particular project here. So I just clicked one now, and then I can see also on first PR. So these are like for first time contributing to open source project. You can just send a PR to this project, follow the guideline, and it will be merged into this project. So going back to the presentation, we have created all of these to help you. I've also created another Web3 open source resources. This is specifically for Web3 projects. Like there are a lot of them. You can see we saw like 53,000 projects, but I can't add all of these 53,000. So it's much easier for you to just search for Web3 in the Explore tab on GitHub, and then you see a lot of projects that you can contribute to. But I've unpicked a couple of projects that you can easily just click on and then try to see if you can contribute, if you are familiar with them or you just want to learn about it, but still, which is totally fine. You can make any type of contribution, documentation, or anything. So does it end here? No, it doesn't end here, because this is just to introduce you and see how you can initiate your open source journey in the Web3 space. But then it doesn't end here, because the presentation have ended or is about to end, but I believe this should give you insight on what you need to start contributing to open source, even beyond the October 1st period, because open source contribution is always there. This goes beyond October or October 1st contributions generally. So I'm rooting for you guys. I'm rooting for you. I'm really looking forward to what you contribute, project you contribute to. If at any point you find this presentation useful, or you made your first contribution to any of these projects, feel free to tag me on Twitter at Lanesoft, and then I'll be happy to cheer you up for the next contribution. Thank you very much. There's this QR code that you can scan. Please go to, make me understand if you find this particular session useful at any point in time, or it's something you can, tell your friends about this section, and also give me feedback on how to make things better for me. It takes less than 1 minute, and I'll be really looking forward to your feedbacks. Thank you very much. Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, so thank you very, very, very much, Idris. Thank you very, very much for like that enlightening session. Honestly, okay, I use GitHub. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, so the
Yeah,
thing
I
is
can hear
that
you.
there are. So sorry, as I was saying, there's quite a bit of lag. So once again, thank you very, very much, Idris, for everything. I use GitHub, but there are some places like the explore section. That's something that I know I've never like gone at all before, and I've learned how to use GitHub now on a whole like different scale. So it's really, really crazy. Thank you very, very much for like that knowledge. And there are some questions. Just a question. Someone's asking that
Okay.
how can he get the material? And I believe that some other people also ask the same question. That how can they like get
Yeah,
access to the material?
Yes, I'll be sharing after this call. I'll share with the organizers, and I'm sure you all will get it. So don't worry, I will just share very soon.
I'm so sorry. Very, very sorry once again. Sorry. I muted my mic. I muted my audio. Please, could you come again with that? I didn't get you. Sorry.
Yeah. I said I will definitely share after this call. Um,
Okay.
I just need to get it out there, like publish it and make it available, and then I will share with you. And I'm very sure that every other person will get it within the community.
All right, no problem. Thank you very, very much. As I said, you guys, if you guys want to get to join the GDS community and then it. Also, by the way, yeah, you can see his Twitter handle, so follow him on Twitter and stuff. So yeah, so another thing that I know I also wanted to mention, as he said, I say open source in itself is like it's so limitless. I have a friend, okay, which you should know him, Toby Lover, Devereaux of Million, and literally the things I've like working on because the opportunity basically and everything has been based on from open source basically. So
Yeah.
the concept of open source basically it's like it's crazy. So but yeah, so I think in a way I want to ask a question now, but this is not regarding the Web3 aspect. So I
Okay.
mean now I know Web2. I know Web2, like I've heard of Web2 and Web3, but when was it? I heard Web5 or so. Now they're like, okay, can you Web 5 by what is Web 5 exactly? Like, does it just stop at Web 3 or all this new web iteration of the webs that are coming out? Like, what exactly that kind of thing? I think that just like my I'm conflicted with it. Like, what is Web 5 basically? Why do all these things?
Yeah, I think there are always reason for doing releasing another version of the web, and this is because we are all humans, and also innovations continue, right? So there are
Mhm.
things that people would say, hey, probably you are doing, but you're not doing right, or there are a particular thing that we want to do, but because of the way this is being built, we can't add this particular thing. Then we need to create another one from scratch that will leverage on the existing one, right? So they also preach decentralization, and they are following another approach to even make things better. So I'm not sure you need to rush, right? You just need to gradually will get there, because even Web3 is not to replace Web2. And I'm sure Web5 is. I'm not so familiar with Web5, but I've learned like a couple of things around what exactly it is, and also how it's different from Web3, right? So but then the idea here is that people would evolve, like things would evolve, and then people would innovate. And then if anyone is trying to catch up with what is happening, you just need to take your time and understand like what is happening in the previous step before you can get to understand the next one. So gradually things will change and move on, but then you just need to be updated about how things progress. And also, if you want to be a part, then it means that you need to do a lot of research and also try to understand the field. So when you want to educate people, people get to understand what the field is all about, and makes it you just makes it easier for them to transition easily within the space.
Hmm. Okay, well, that really like clears up a lot of things. Thank you very, very much. So, I think guys, do you guys have any questions or anything regarding? Just make sure you just do research and things. And if you have any other questions, you guys, as I say, reach out to him on Twitter, ask him any question. He's my boss, and he's like
Yeah, and help me
responsible.
scan this QR code and give me feedback. I'll be really
Yeah,
looking
make an
forward to
account
that.
QR code though. You guys can QR code. Don't worry. When we even send you guys the material, you guys will send us like a
Yeah,
slide, so you can just simply just scan it from there. Thank you
exactly.
very, very much because we know like your busy schedule for taking our time to come here and educate us on Web3 and open source as a whole. Thank you very, very much. So we appreciate it.
Yeah,
So
you're welcome. Thank you
thank
all for having me.
you guys, thank you very much. So
All
guys,
right.
that is end of the event. All right, so bye bye. So take care, guys.
All right now. Thank you. Bye for now.